What's up, Staten Island, world, America? Whether you're watching from Japan or you're watching from Dungan Hills, who knows? This is the Tough Talk podcast, brought to you by your friends at Tough Media. And of course, my name is Todd Bavona, Tough Media. That guy right next to me is Chris Reyes, Team USA Baseball, also Tough Media. Chris, how we doing? What's going on?
Todd, all's well, man. Staten Island baseball, New York City baseball, a lot of good stuff going on right now. I
A lot of good stuff. But before we begin, Chris, why don't you give a shout out? We also have the sponsor that's helping support the cause here for Staten Island baseball, specifically with this podcast. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, good friend Angel Lugo from Trugo Athletics, Fishkill, New York. He's part of the USA Baseball staff, and he's been a very generous sponsor for us in the past few episodes. So thank you to Angel and his staff. We're very, very grateful and very appreciative for you to see our vision and keep it moving forward. So thank you again.
Talking about moving it forward, boy, Staten Island baseball has dominated the headlines as of late with any number of storylines, Chris. So I'm just going to tee it up to you, my brother. Obviously, our guest, Coach Nelson, joining us from Saves by the Sea in a moment, folks. But anything else you'd like to highlight? I mean, there's a lot to cover, Chris.
Yeah, we've been saying it all year, Todd, where Staten Island baseball is right at the top from the CHSAA to the PSAL. We were just recently at the PSAL City Championship for softball as well, where Tottenville won the city championship. So it seems to be a trend that a lot of athletes in the baseball and the softball community are doing really well. It's fun to watch, and I'm very proud as a Staten Island native to watch these kids doing well, the coaches doing well. So it's been exciting, Todd.
Yeah, it's been great, and obviously we're recording this at the point where St. Joseph by the Sea have won the CHSAA City Championship. Tremendous accomplishment, something that I feel, Chris, you were leaning towards as a strong possibility. We had mentioned Peters as being a front runner. Could they do the back to back to back? C obviously came out on top. We're now at what's this next tournament that they're in right now? It's a sectional tournament. What are they playing in right now, Chris?
Yeah, so the first initial tournament was the Archdiocese Championship. That's what St. Joseph by the Sea won. Now, and again, hopefully Coach Nelson can correct this if I'm incorrect, but this is more of the top 8 teams in the city. They come together and do more of like a tournament, double elimination tournament, if that makes sense. So honestly, for me, the Catholic School League, the brackets confuse me. Um, but that's the best I have for you, Todd. And I know that C is back in it. St. Joseph by the Sea is back in it. I believe Moore got outed a few days ago. So C and Peter still have a chance to take home another trophy.
Right, right, and I at the time of this recording, C had just lost to Peters, uh, and now they are playing though again at the time of this recording at 4:30 p.m. But yeah, glad you brought up softball as well. The Island just doing having a great season as well, again we always do. But let's keep our focus on Stations by the Sea. Let's bring in our guest. Without further ado, Coach Nelson joining us, Saints by the Sea. Once again, congratulations, sir, on the CHSASC championship. What a season! What a run! Great to have you along with us here. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. Um, I want to congratulate you guys and thank you guys for having a great podcast. I know you had a bunch of my guys on, a couple Staten Island guys that deserve to be on. You guys do a great job.
Well, we appreciate that, Coach. I think it's important that we put this spotlight on Staten Island baseball. Again, Chris and I both being graduates of Tottenville and going through the system, Little League, Babe Ruth League, and high school, of course. And Chris obviously continuing to do what he's been doing for, my goodness, 20 years plus now for the game of baseball. This is a great way to kind of emphasize how great not only coach the players are on the field, but also off the field. And that's kind of what we've prided ourselves on these selections of a guy like an Anthony DePetro or a Gano, or I'm thinking all these guys that we've had on. Great individuals, great responses, thoughtful responses, and overall just a great package. So, Coach, we thank
Uh,
you and your team for providing such great people, which I think is so important, Coach.
Great, great young men.
Absolutely.
Nelson, I have
Chris, I'll let you take it over.
yeah, one, I want to congratulate Coach Nelson for another great season. We're not done yet, right, Coach? But
No, not
I
done yet.
do I do want to pick your brain a little bit, and we had mentioned on the podcast two or 3 weeks ago how it takes a community to do this type of stuff. And we had mentioned some of the guys that are on the ground level, like the little league coaches and the travel bowl coaches and the trainers and the stuff like this. From your perspective, Coach, why do you think Staten Island baseball, just as a whole, is having such great success? I would love to hear your perspective on
Um,
that.
Honestly, it starts with the little league, like you said. Now we're at the time of the All Stars. That's a great tournament that's held out here. I think it shows off a lot of our little leaguers, how the coaches that they have. Our travel programs are, I think, one of the best tri-state when it comes to teaching fundamentals and showing the game the way it's supposed to be played. There's a lot of good coaches out here on Staten Island. And I think that's a major part of it. By the time they get to us at the high school level, a lot of these kids have tons of knowledge. Mm, the baseball instincts is something that you're born with. You accumulate, you get, and we're starting to get a lot of that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, Nelson, I can see that. I couldn't agree with you any more than what you just said. And after watching your team this year, from fundamentals to knowing where to throw the ball, I would have to say that the St. Joe's by the Sea Vikings are right at the top, as you've proven time and time again this year. And it's definitely takes a culture. It definitely takes a complete package of a community. And I always want to, give props to the little league coaches and the travel ball coach, because, by the time they get to you, you might just have to put a little, a few screws in and fix some things up. But a lot of kudos to the young coaches, the young trainers. You guys are doing a great job, and I always want to point that out.
Yeah, again, they get a lot of credit for doing that. It's all volunteer. It's it as better than anybody else. We do it because we love it, not because we're making any kind of money for it, because we're not. Um, and it's just for the love. And when you love something as much as this, you put your heart and soul into it, and it shows.
Most definitely, Coach. Most definitely.
Coach, I want to take it back a little bit. Beginning of the season, uh, Chris and I were trying to evaluate and predict, and Lord knows everyone loves to predict. With who knows what the outcome is going to be. What were your sentiments on your squad going into this season? And give me during the winter months, what were you thinking come January, February, March? What was the barometer like with some seniors that left? You lost some talent, but you had some good younger guys that could be stepping up. What were you feeling about this team early on? And what did you know? Wow, we really have to focus on this aspect of our game if we're going to be successful and be a city championship. Like Chris was saying, we always kind of expect C to be close to being a city champion. What were you guys focused on working on? And what were your weaknesses and strengths going into the season, Coach?
Oh, going into, let's go back. Let's go take it back a step further. Going into last year, um, we knew that we have a lot of good young talent. And that goes to my JV coach, George Quinn, who gets our guys ready. He has a couple of freshmen that we bring up every year. And as freshmen, these guys are ready to play on the varsity level as a sophomore. So we saw that last year. We brought up 4 sophomores last year. We were young, inexperienced, and they were inexperienced as far as the varsity level goes. We had our growing pains with them last year. We won some games with them because of them. We lost some games because of them. Young mistakes, but it was a learning experience. They learned what varsity level baseball was like. I coached at the JV level for many, many years for Coach Rugg. Um, so I got to learn a lot from him as far as letting our players play where they deserve to play. and not hold anybody back. With that same saying, we always let these guys shine at their level that they should be shining at, and then bring them up as we need them. So when we did that last year, we knew that that would be one of our strengths and one of our weaknesses, if that kind of makes any sense. It was kind of on the job training, but they got it. They got it. I think we overachieved a little bit. We went to the top 8. We lost to a tough Peters team last year who won everything last year. And when we lost to them, they saw them celebrating on the field, and I think that was a growing pain. That was the last learning experience for them. And then going into this year, we kind of fed off of that.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's the
Coach,
worst, to have the team celebrate, right in front of you. So that's got to stick with
Yeah,
you.
well,
I don't care
well,
what
it
level.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't so much the celebration. It was more of, you know what? They got there. They were young. Now it's our turn to get there and see
Okay,
see how they're enjoying it. That'll be us next year.
got it.
Coach, when you
Great.
and I know we always talk about, travel ball and stuff like that and the rankings and stuff like that. I always like talking about specific high school rankings because there is no what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of it's an opinion by the Perfect Games of the world, the PBRs of the world, and we've talked about, your St. Joseph by the Sea team being at the top of the regional rankings with schools like Stony Brook and Poly Prep, who do a phenomenal job. Um, Most recently, your St. Joseph by the Sea Vikings have been ranked right at the top there. Um, that's a great sign for school. When I was at Tottenville, we were, regionally ranked, and it was really fun to watch. But what does that mean to you? And I know you don't do it for the rankings. I know you don't do it for that, but it's a great accolade to talk about because it's something that was given to you, right? You earned it, right? Can you talk about what that means and what that means to the school and what that means to the culture? Because it takes more than just winning a few games, right? Can you talk about that, coach?
Yeah, it's definitely a great accomplishment. We've had many great teams here at St. Joe's. I know when you were talking to John and Anthony, you had mentioned the team with Leno and the teams with McKenna. Coach Rugg's team, Coach Regati's teams. Those teams, if there was kind of any kind of social media back in the day, I'm sure they would have been ranked way up there. But being ranked like we were ranked, I think PG Northeast had us number 9. Um, I know Max Prep has us as number 1 in the Catholic school and in New York State Catholic school. 15 Tri-State, and you mentioned some big names, Don Bosco and Del Burton and all those schools that are nationally ranked every year. It's nice to be ranked with them and knowing that our hard work that we've done here so far, it's being seen off the island and being acknowledged by people that are just doing this for a living. I mean, it's nice for the boys, it's nice for the school to be recognized at a national level, I guess you can say.
Absolutely,
So
coach.
we focus.
Go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
No, go, Chris.
No, go ahead, Todd. All you, brother.
So we talked about preseason. We're talking about our rankings a little bit here with your coach. Bring me through the rest of the season, the heart of the season. The grind, if you will. What was your reaction to how good these kids were doing, and how they were responding and performing on a consistent basis? And I remember talking to Andy DePetro, for instance, and asking him for if there's anything you guys could focus on, what would it be? And he said we're pretty solid throughout, right,
Yeah.
coach? I mean,
Yeah.
offense, defense, pitching, everything keen to be clicking all year round. Did you feel that way? Did you feel like it? And what is that like for a coach when, God, my team's doing really well? How do you continue to keep them focused throughout the year and kind of, humble them a little bit and keep them grounded and say, hey, you never know. Anyone can beat anyone any given day. What was it like as a coach
Yeah.
during the season, watching them develop, watching them do well, and keeping them humble and modest when it came to the end of the season, getting ready for playoffs.
Yeah, that was it was definitely a great season. We hit the ground running from game one against Iona when we opened up our season. We had pitching, we had defense, and we had timely hitting, which pretty much carried us into the season. As the games got along, we started building a lot of momentum going across the. We didn't play the island teams until later in the season, so I think that kind of helped us a little bit, just gain momentum going up to the Bronx. The bus trips. I mean, we had 4 bus trips in 1 week going up to the Bronx to Westchester.
Oh wow!
I think those bus
Wow.
rides unify a team. We're on the bus having a good time, singing. Who's dancing in the aisles, who's trying to sleep. But at the end of the day, it just brings everyone together. But as far as the season went, every game that went along, we gained a little more confidence. We gained a lot more momentum going across. And before you know it, we were 14-0. Looking at, could we go undefeated? You know, is it a bad thing if we lose a game so they could get a taste of what, uh, you know, like you said, get humbled a little bit? We had a rough stretch that our bats went quiet for a little bit, and we lost 2 games in a row. But then, soon as we already had clinched our, pretty much first place in the Catholic school division. Um, Not that we took the foot off the pedal. It kind of hit us at once. The bats went silent. Pitching was great. The 2 games that we lost 1-0. And I think it was 5-3. We just didn't hit, but I
Okay.
think it came at a good time, because it got us a little humbled, like you had just said, and kind of ready for the playoffs. Say, you know what, we just lost the game, but it's a big deal. Let's just get back on the horse and ride it all the way through.
Great.
Coach, I want to talk a little bit about Anthony DePetro. I know you hold him dear to your heart. He's our
Stud,
Tough Media Player of the Year.
100%.
Kid's a beast. Great family, great kid. Just boast a little bit about him for the listeners, right? I know you know him since he's a little kid. What does he bring to the table? As your captain, as your leader, I know that type of stuff is very valuable at this level. What does he bring to the table, Coach?
Well, he is definitely a leader. We spoke in the beginning of the season. I know last year was an off year for him, and he felt terrible about it. I mean, most guys would take the season he had last year, but he knew he didn't play at the level that he could have played at. And he went into this off season. He worked hard, was in the gym all the time. Our gym, his personal trainer that he has, he was in our batting cage as often as was allowed to be in there. Um, and he became a major part of our success. He's not that in your face captain, but he leads by example. Um, and the way he's on the field, everyone just gravitates to him and follows what he does. I mean, we wouldn't be in this position without Anthony. I mean, our pitching was great. He handled our pitches. I think our pitching was the best on the island, and best in the city, never mind the island. And he just took control of that and led us offensively in a way that I haven't seen since McKenna. And it's
Yeah.
so funny because McKenna
And
came
with
to
wood bat too, Nelson, right?
and
It's
with
it's a
wood
different
bats,
era. Yep.
with wood bat. I mean, Mike came down here for a game or two. He's like royalty down here. So when he
Yeah.
came down here, the boys seen him. He was introduced to him. He was like, he goes, "You guys play with wood? We play with." I hit the ball 400 feet, but you guys are doing it with wood.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was nice for him to come down. I mean, he came down with his baby. So it's like a whole, everything goes around, and here you are where you played before. Now you're cheering on the guys 10 years later that's doing pretty much what he did. Um,
Yeah.
I never got to see him play personally, but I heard all the stories about him, through Coach Regatti and Coach Rugg. But the Petro was that kind of leader, or he is that kind of leader. Pace has got a tremendous ball player coming up to them.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Most
a tremendous person, by the way. Great
Yes,
to speak with,
great,
Coach.
great young man. Great young man.
You know, and again, we emphasize each and every time when we have the Tough Media Player of the Week that they embody such a great human being, and speaking with them is a pleasure. And it's literally like they're media trained. It's crazy. It's almost like someone went to them and said, "Hey, this is what you need to expect
Yeah,
from someone from
this
a
what you got to say.
podcast or news."
Right.
We
Yeah,
didn't have that
you know,
growing
they're
up, guys. We didn't
No,
have that. They're
no,
used to
def-
Instagram. They're used to interviews. They're definitely
yeah,
mature
definitely
kids.
not.
It's great. It's really fun to watch.
Definitely
yeah.
not. Well, put
And
it this way.
they're so
This is my
insightful.
third podcast, so
Well, you're doing great, Coach. By the way, again, good
thanks.
answers, thorough answers. You're not and on, and you're providing some great insight, Coach. So no, it's definitely appreciated. I always ask the players this. I'm going to ask a coach it. Chris loves when I ask this because the answers have been the same. I would love to hear the team you follow, major leagues, and then also, obviously, you're a coach. So let me ask you it this way. I asked the players their favorite player, coach, that inspired them, whether at their position at bat or in the field, like someone you model after, right? So, coach, I'll ask you your favorite team first, and then is there a player that you like to embody as a great hitter, pitcher, catcher, and or is there a coach that you emulate, or is it a Joe Torre? Is it a like Sparky Anderson, old school? What's your style? So go ahead, coach.
Well, I'm with Chris. I'm definitely a Met fan. Um, I get I get a lot of stuff. I get a lot of crap from my players
You
that are
can't be
mostly Yankee
Hispanic and
fans.
not be a Mets fan, right? Nelson,
Yeah,
think about it.
exactly. For a long time. So like I said, I know I catch a lot of crap from my guys like John Gano and the Petro that are Yankee fans. I mean, we go at it all day long. You know, baseball's a long season, but you know, they don't get it. They just live for whatever game was played last.
Yeah.
So the bragging rights go back and forth. But as far as a player, I one of my favorite players of all time is Kyle Ripken. Just the way
Okay.
he went at the game, presented the game, played the game, respected the game. So he's always been one of my favorite players. I got to meet him a long
Okay.
time ago, years ago. Great man, great guy, very humble, very down to earth. Um, and as far as coaching, it's there's one guy. Chris knows my answer to that, and I'm standing on his field. You know, Coach Rugg. Coach Rugg brought me into this high school coaching in 2006. So
Wow.
I've been here almost 20 years. But as far as coaches, I try to follow everything that he's done. Hopefully, I have. I think I have. Um, but as far as coaches, like you know, I know you mentioned major league coaches, but to me, he is my major league coach because he taught me a lot about this game and how to handle things and how to handle your players and just everything about him is what I try to emulate. Him and Coach Rigotti, you know, I talk to Coach Rigotti all the time. He's here a lot, so it's nice. It's nice having him here. I know Coach Rugg is here, so you know we talk all the time. Like right now,
That's great.
I would be talking to him behind me with the sign, but I got you guys first.
Love it. Love it. That's great. Well, what a homage to a great human being, a great coach who
Yes.
will be forever remembered in Staten Island baseball for sure.
Yep.
Chris, anything else I might be missing, sir?
Yeah, Nelson, I have one question for you, and we usually do a kind of like a brainy question. If you had
You got the
one
wrong
wish,
guy.
if you had one wish, right, and there was a genie that can grant your wish, right? What would that wish be for youth baseball for the next decade?
Um,
Good one.
What do you want to see? What
it's
do you want to see improve? What do you want to see get better?
I I would
I
want
know
to
we always
see
talk about this stuff.
I would want to see the level of their maturity get a little better. Not be, you know, lack of a better word, like a mama's boy kind of. You
Hmm.
know, don't let your parents do everything for you. don't let your parents carry your bags. Don't let your parents, bring your drinks to you. I think that starts at a young age. I think we've gone away
Yeah.
from that. I think parents, and rightfully so, listen, I may be responsible for it too. You want to spoil your kids. You want to have better than what you had for your kids. But I think sometimes they go a little too far and
Hmm.
the kids don't get that let me do it on my own kind of thing.
Sure.
Let me earn something on my own. Let me work hard at it. Let me be my own. I know it's say be my own man at a time at the age of 10, but at that age they should be carrying their own bags and their own drinks,
Yeah.
and mom shouldn't come by the field and to see if they're okay. I think that could be a big part of it, and getting them just to be a little more independent.
Yeah. I would
Love that.
agree, coach. I
Love
think
that.
that's a great. I think that's a great wish. I think I get to train some really talented catchers at the young age and
Yes.
hitters, and I would second that wish. And if I was a genie, I would try to grant it because I think overall it would definitely help the culture. That
Mhm.
probably goes for any sport at the youth ages. And
Yeah, hundred
I
percent.
think as a I think as a person that helps young people, when you have that coach that really does care, put your trust in him, rely on him
Correct.
because he can be that mentor in your kid's life.
And there is a lot. There's a lot of high school coaches out here that do that. That's the reason they're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, most definitely.
Chris, what a good freaking question,
Uh,
and coach, an
Yes, that
insightful
was a good
response.
question. That was a good question.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And coach, what an interesting response as well that I think breeds true for, I think you were saying, across the board, not
yeah,
just for a baseball, but in general, need to be a little bit more independent and do it yourself and try it yourself and fail. Like, how many times, Chris, how many times do I bring up Kobe Bryant, right? Job's not finished, or
Job's
that
not done.
Mamba mentality, right? Like, how great failure is and how great it is to fail because it means you're only going to get better and better and better. And to your point, coach, like whether it's
hmm
carrying your bag by yourself or doing stuff on your own and figuring it out, what a great general life point, coach. So thank you for that. God, Chris, good
No,
question,
no,
brother.
that's a great point. Kobe said, like you said it himself. You got to fail. You got to
Yeah.
fail to win.
And don't be afraid to fail. Don't
Right.
be afraid that something went wrong or you tried something new with I don't know, with a batting stance or approach, or you died and it went wrong and it went off. Okay, you learned. So you swung like crap that day because you were loaded up on pizza and bread the night before. All right, well you can't do that anymore. That's not the
Right.
carbo loading you need
Yep.
before a marathon
Exactly.
doubleheader or something. You got to do something
Right.
different. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to go for it. But God, Coach, what a pleasure to have you on, man. Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
time. I
I
know you got to get
appreciate it.
going. Your players are coming out to do a little BP, and then you
Yep.
got a game to go win. So again, congratulations, success for this whole season, Coach, on the city championship, of course. Great job on this interview. We appreciate you, and let's keep representing Staten Island nice and strong, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Again, thank you for everything that you do. Just want to give a quick shout out to Mikey Grippo in Tottenville on Saturday when you're going for the championship for PSAL. Hopefully, I see you guys there.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Love it,
Yes,
Coach.
sir. Thanks, Nelson.
Be good, guys. Thank you.
Chris, another one. Another. I mean, you expect a little bit more. He's a full blown adult. He's a coach. He's going to be, you know, well spoken or whatnot. But what a nice guy. And Chris, again, I'm not trying to kiss your ass. I don't have to kiss your ass. That was a great question with what you'd wish for youth baseball, and of course, he gave a great response. That I think again, Chris, it rings true in so many different ways. But it just shows you, Chris, if this guy is your coach, I'm going through a brick wall for this guy, right? And to have that
Yeah.
history at sea with Coach Rugg and whatnot, I mean, I'd do anything for this man, and I'm excited to see him hopefully win this whole thing coming up today and the success of this team in the future. I mean, what a guy, Chris.
Todd, you know what I've noticed, being around some really good coaches in the nation, the country, and the world, the coaches that make the biggest difference are the coaches that put people before the win. And that's what Coach Nelson does, right? If you notice, a lot of the stuff he was talking about was this person's going to be a good guy later on in life. He does this for the team.
Yeah.
And yes, obviously they won the championship and they're on a run right now, similar to like Coach Bobby at St. Peter's and Gerard at Moore. Whenever you speak to these guys, it's way bigger than just winning a trophy. Right.
Right.
And what I've noticed is as I'm around the country and I'm around the really good coaches that win a lot, they put their kids above the trophy. And what's interesting to see, Todd, is that when they do that, they win more naturally, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a cause and effect where a lot of coaches chase the trophy, they chase the rankings, they chase the clout and never get it. These coaches are
Right.
actually chasing helping people.
Right.
And they get it. They immediately get it just because of the byproduct of doing right by people, right? So I think we're
Right.
seeing that as a culture. Winning is great, but I think the Staten Island culture, the last 2 to 3 years, you can really feel that it's starting to come together, Todd.
Sure.
And not only are we developing better people, but we're also winning. We're winning a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say that, I am from Staten Island and, I'm part of the change, you're part of the change, and you could just see it in our culture. People are coming together. It's a lot of the reason why we use that word unity all the time.
Sure.
And Coach Nelson is just is a product of it, right?
Absolutely. And what you say rings true for, as an entrepreneur, you can definitely agree kind of with yourself. That mentality of taking care of people and culture first is true for running a business, right? Whether it's a small business of 2 or a big business of 122 or 120,000. If you care about those that are working with you, not for you, that's even a better way of saying it. I have co-workers that I work with me, not for me, and you take care of them. Well, then automatically your business is going to see ROI. You're going to get return on investment. Just like you said, a good coach, good people are going to yield good wins. A good business is going to yield more money, more bonuses, more profit, and happy customers, whatever they are. So, wow, what
And
a good
people that
interview,
actually
Chris.
want to come to the
Glad,
field, right? People want to come to the
yeah,
games, that type of stuff. Yep, absolutely, Todd.
makes you want to do whatever it is, whether it's hopping up to the dish, kicking a ball on a pitch, or picking up a pen and working in a cubicle, or working at a construction site. If you got a good team, you really are all in. But Chris, it's been a pleasure, man. We went all in this podcast with Coach. Again, congrats to him and his team and the families and the community, like you always rightly point out, Chris. And to those communities that have helped build this, congrats to you as well. So, Chris, another good one, brother.
Yes, sir, Todd. Thanks again, bro.
All right. Again, Todd Bavona, TUF Media. That's Chris Reyes, Team USA basement, of course, TUF Media as well. And thank you to our sponsors for always helping us out and supporting this and supporting the cause. Thank you for watching. Plenty more to come when it comes to the Tough Talk podcast. We're going to do this as long as we possibly can, and it's going to stretch Little League, softball, coaches, players, maybe even some special guests from the MLB world. You never know. But again, I'm Todd. That's Chris. You're you. Appreciate you watching. We'll catch you next time.